From a teenager learning to fly to a battle-hardened hero who's abandoned his no-kill rule, Mark Grayson has come a long way since we first met him in Invincible. And now, the show is gearing up for what might just be its biggest and most brutal chapter yet. Here is absolutely everything we know about Invincible Season 4. Invincible Season 4 is dropping on March 18th, 2026, exclusively on Amazon Prime Video. The rollout is following the same format that worked so well for Season 3, which means you're getting the first 3 episodes all at once on premiere day, and then 1 new episode every Wednesday after that, until the finale hits on April 22nd. That gives us 8 episodes total, which is the same count as the previous seasons. The first episode, You Gave Me No Choice, already sounds like it's going to hit hard right out of the gate. The rest of the episode titles haven't been revealed yet, but honestly, that first one alone tells you everything about where Mark's headspace is going to be this season. Now, if you need a quick refresher on where we left off, Season 3 was an absolute roller coaster. The Invincible War happened, where Angstrom Levy pulled a bunch of evil alternate universe versions of Mark to wreak havoc on Earth, leaving cities in ruins and people dead. Then, right on the heels of that, the Viltrumite Enforcer Conquest showed up and nearly killed everyone. Mark and Adam Eve barely scraped through that fight alive, and it completely changed Mark as a person. He told his half-brother Oliver that he's done playing nice, done letting villains walk away to hurt more people later. Rex Splode died heroically by literally turning his own skeleton into a bomb to take out a swarm of evil Invincibles, and honestly, his funeral at the end of the season was one of the most emotional moments the show has ever done. On top of all that, Cecil secretly kept Conquest alive in a steel prison. The Sequids started setting up for an Earth invasion, and a post-credits scene showed Damien Darkblood plotting something wild down in Hell. So yeah, there's a lot of plates spinning heading into Season 4. The big story this season is the Viltrumite War. If you've been reading the comics, or even just hearing comic readers lose their minds online, you know this is the arc everyone has been waiting for. It's a huge, all-encompassing war between the coalition of planets and the Viltrum Empire, and it was seriously one of the most important stories in the whole 144-issue comic run. Robert Kirkman has confirmed that this is the centerpiece of Season 4, and the trailer makes it very clear that things are about to go cosmic in a way the show hasn't really done before. Expect some episodes to be set in space, and get ready, because the conflict is going to be way bigger than anything we've witnessed yet. The official synopsis reads, "While the world recovers from catastrophe, a changed Mark fights to protect his home and the people he loves, setting him on a collision course with a threat that could alter the fate of humanity forever." That's pretty standard press release language, but the key phrase there is a changed Mark. This isn't the wide-eyed kid from Season 1 anymore. This is a Mark who has killed, who has watched friends die, and who is now grappling with the reality that being a hero sometimes means doing terrible things. Kirkman himself mentioned to Forbes that Mark is basically figuring out who he is as he grows up. He's a good guy deep down, but the way he goes about things might not always make him look like the hero everyone expects. It's also worth noting that the first episode picks up just 2 weeks after the Season 3 finale, so we're jumping right back into the chaos without any significant time skip. Mark doesn't get a breather, and neither do we. And speaking of the trailer, it dropped in January 2026 and gave us a ton to chew on. The big emotional hook is Mark and Omni-Man reuniting on Earth for the first time since Season 2. Mark clearly doesn't fully trust his dad, and why would he? Nolan literally beat him half to death in Season 1 and abandoned the family. But the coalition of planets needs every heavy hitter they can get, and Nolan is one of the strongest beings in the universe. The trailer shows them fighting side by side against the Viltrumite Empire, alongside allies like Alan the Alien, Battle Beast, Thetis, Oliver, who has grown noticeably taller due to his accelerated aging, and new characters like Tech Jacket and Space Racer. There's also a really tense moment of Nolan facing Debbie for the first time since Season 1, which is going to be absolutely devastating from a character standpoint. But here's the thing, everyone is really losing it over Thrag. Grand Regent Thrag is finally here, and he is voiced by none other than Lee Pace. If you know Lee Pace from Foundation, where he played Brother Day, or from Guardians of the Galaxy where he played Ronan, you already know This man was born to voice the most terrifying Viltrumite in existence. Thrag is the ruler of the Viltrum Empire, trained from birth to lead through strength, cruelty, and sheer force of will. He is, without exaggeration, the main antagonist of the entire Invincible series. Not just this season, but the whole thing. His arrival has been teased and built up for 3 seasons, and the trailer ends with him commanding his forces and saying, "Leave no one alive." Kirkman told TV Insider that Thrag is the next step beyond Conquest, the same way Conquest was a step beyond Nolan in the first season. If that doesn't get your blood pumping, I don't know what will. Thrag isn't the only new villain, though. Matthew Rhys is voicing Dinosaurus, a character who is actually a split personality. When a scrawny scientist named Dr. David Anders gets bored, he turns into a red, genius dinosaur who believes he must destroy parts of the world to save it. This twisted logic forces Mark to fight an enemy who thinks he is the hero. Then there is Universa, voiced by Danai Gurira. She is an alien queen who uses a special staff to drain Earth's energy to save her own dying planet. We also have Volcanica, a tyrant made of lava who commands rock monsters and wants to conquer the world. Finally, Captain Pickel joins as a captain in the Coalition of Planets. He is based on Star Trek characters, but unlike them, he is very suspicious of Mark and refuses to trust any Viltrumites. On the hero's side, the cast continues to be ridiculously stacked. Stephen Yeun is back as Mark, Sandra Oh as Debbie, Simmons as Omni-Man, Gillian Jacobs as Adam Eve, Seth Rogen as Alan the Alien, Walton Goggins as Cecil, and Zachary Quinto as Robot. Jonathan Banks is joining as Brit and will be a recurring character from here on out alongside Tech Jacket. Peter Cullen voices Thetis, and Michael Dorn is back as Battle Beast. The trailer gave us a brief glimpse of Battle Beast unsheathing his weapon in space, and comic readers absolutely know what that means. The legendary duel between Battle Beast and Thrag is widely considered one of the most brutal fights in the entire comic series, and it looks like it's happening this season. Now, one of the most exciting things about Season 4 is that it's not just adapting the comics. For the first time ever, the show is doing an entirely original storyline that Robert Kirkman never got around to writing in the comics. Remember Damien Darkblood, the demon detective from Season 1, who figured out Omni-Man killed the Guardians of the Globe and got banished to Hell by Cecil? His story basically ended there, in the comics. He was barely more than a gag character in the source material, a parody of Hellboy and Rorschach. But the show elevated him significantly, and the Season 3 post-credits scene showed him in the underworld, talking to a demon lord, voiced by Bruce Campbell, about summoning a powerful surface dweller with a blackened heart to serve his master. Kirkman confirmed that this leads to a Hell arc, where Mark might literally go to Hell and fight the devil. It's the kind of storyline every superhero series eventually does, and Kirkman always regretted never getting to do it in the comics. He confirmed he personally wrote Episode 4, which is where this original storyline plays out. And yes, Bruce Campbell might be playing Satan himself, though the creative team has been playfully coy about confirming that. Based on what happens in the comics, there are also some major character deaths coming. Without getting too deep into spoiler territory, the Sequid invasion storyline that was set up at the end of Season 3 is almost certainly happening, and that means Russ Livingston's tragic fate is likely playing out on screen. The invasion forces Mark into an impossible position where he has to make a terrible choice, and it's going to leave a mark on him. Conquest, who Cecil secretly kept alive, is expected to escape and meet his end this season as well. In the comics, Mark killing him is a huge deal. It really shows he's ready to take out anyone who seriously threatens the people he cares about. Then, you've got Thetis. He was super important in the Viltrumite War, but unfortunately, Thrag is the one who ultimately kills him. That tragic event clears the way for Alan the Alien to take over as the new coalition leader. The show is also going to give us more of Shrinking Ray in a new original storyline, where she starts finding a new purpose beyond being a superhero. Adam Eve is dealing with her own struggles too, trying to figure out what's going on with her changing powers. The Flaxons, who haven't appeared since the Season 1 finale, are making a comeback. The Guardians of the Globe are under new leadership since the Immortals stepped down, and 3 of the original Season 1 members are either dead or retired. And here's a fun detail. Mark is going to abandon the black and blue costume at some point during the season, which comic readers know signals a major evolution in his character and his role in the larger conflict. Promotional art has already hinted at a costume change, and honestly, it makes total sense given how much Mark has changed as a person. The suit has always been symbolic of who he is at that point in his journey, and this version of Mark is not the same kid who first put on the blue and black. One thing that Kirkman has been really vocal about is how much the animation quality has continued to improve with each season. He pointed to the Conquest fight at the end of Season 3 as an example of where the show is heading, calling the animation absolutely rad and saying the team is hitting new heights they're hoping to sustain and even surpass going forward. The overseas animation studios have gotten a better handle on the show's style, and the action choreography keeps getting more ambitious and fluid. When you consider that the Viltrumite War is going to involve planet-scale battles, space warfare, and some of the most physically demanding fight sequences in the comics' history, the fact that the animation team is at their peak right now is really reassuring. This isn't going to be a season where they hold back visually. In terms of the show's future, the good news keeps rolling. Invincible was already renewed for Season 5 back in July 2024 at San Diego Comic-Con, and the voice work for that season is already done. One more thing that's worth mentioning is that Alan the Alien and Nolan Grayson are going to get a lot more screen time this season. Their interracial bromance has been one of the show's most delightful dynamics, but they haven't had much focus over the last couple of seasons. That changes now, as the two of them will be working together to track down allies and weapons for the coalition of planets ahead of the big fight against the Viltrum Empire. Seth Rogen and J.K. Simmons playing off each other is always a joy, and giving them more room to breathe in the story is a smart move that should add some much-needed levity to what's going to be a pretty dark season overall. Kirkman has mentioned he wants to adapt the entire 144-issue comic run over 7 to 9 seasons, which is awesome news. We're basically in the prime era for this series right now. The production process is totally dialed in, and Kirkman is super committed to keeping up the yearly release schedule they nailed down with Seasons 2, 3, and now 4. Season 3 was the most watched animation season of all time on Prime Video and the biggest returning season across all adult animation originals on the platform. So it's safe to say Amazon is fully committed to this thing for the long haul. The show also picked up Critics' Choice and Primetime Emmy nominations in both 2024 and 2025. So it's not just popular, it's critically beloved too. All in all, Invincible Season 4 is shaping up to be the most ambitious and potentially devastating season yet. Whether you're a comic reader who's been waiting years for this, or a show-only fan who has no idea what's about to hit them, March 18th cannot come fast enough.